I'm the founding partner for General Sales and Solutions Management Company. In my previous life, I've worked with brands like KLM Royal Dutch Airlines, ADC Airlines, Virgin Nigeria, and I've also been involved in projects to represent airlines. I basically set up Air Cote d'Ivoire in Nigeria, both their sales and their operations. So I've spent about 25 plus years in aviation.
So that's great. As an aviator, I know you have critically looked at the industry, both since COVID till date. But let's focus on 2022, this year. Your outlook for the industry, how is it like? Is it going to be positive or it is going to be blink? And of course, you have to tell us the reasons why you think either it's going to be blink or positive.
Okay. Thank you very much. The outlook for aviation for 2022, it's positive. We have quite a fantastic opportunity to grow the industry back to the peaks and even go beyond it. A lot of factors are driving that positive outlook. Like you mentioned in our earlier talk, the insecurity is moving people closer to the air, which is good for the industry. But also, there's been a massive positive confidence by investors to put money in the industry. And that's why we have those number of airlines waiting to join. So, if you have more waiting to join than the number you even have now, that shows you, where the growth is going. So it's positive on the whole, but we also have to be vigilant.
Okay. Now, this positivity, is it from the airline side, or infrastructure, or government side, or the investors?
Okay. Basically, aviation is the ecosystem. Whenever it works, we can't deny any side their contribution. But it's been driven mostly by investment, really. Because we've had a few years where it's been bleak, where we had like 3 or 4 airlines basically and operating in kicks and starts. We have more airlines with more aircraft at this time who are able to exploit the opportunities. And we have to praise the airlines' resilience and recovery, in the face of the terrible COVID thing. And also the regulators, they were able in record time to put together a working protocol for COVID. So, it's the whole industry that deserves the praise. But ongoing, as we go on, it's important that certain areas who have a more fundamental role to play in taking advantage of the opportunity are a bit more on the ball. And that's where issues like infrastructure, policies, and regulation will come in.
Okay. Now, over the years, stakeholders in the industry, they've complained about policy somersault. So far, since this present administration, the policy they've come up with, has it really helped the industry?
Okay. On the positive side, there's not been somersault because they've been very clear from day one about their roadmap. That's a positive. But several aspects of the roadmap gives stakeholders concern. And basically the concern is that those programs may not be able to deliver the required goods. That's the concern. But you can't fault them for having a program and sticking to it.
Okay. Now let's look at infrastructure. If the airlines are bringing in more aircrafts, there are more investment in the sector, do you think the infrastructure that we have now will be able to cater to the needs of investors?
I think it's clear it won't. And that's why we got a bit of it during the festivities, where even baggage became quite a nightmare. It shows that we're not growing facilities as fast as we should. And government's plan to grow that quickly via privatization has been slow. So I'm convinced that the push for concessioning and the infrastructure that should come to it will not happen as quickly as the expansion the industry needs it for.
Okay.
So that's a real critical area where we should be concerned.
Okay. Now, sir, regarding the airline, it is one thing to acquire airplanes. It is another thing to utilize it to the fullest. Many stakeholders have said over the years that most domestic airline operators, buy equipment that does not fit a particular route that they fly into. Some are using certain aircraft to break even, like the ATR. A particular airline has that particular aircraft and none other, and the operation has been ongoing. But some will buy certain airplanes, the routes they fly into, filling that aircraft is a problem. So do you think this acquisition, would help to probably change the views of most domestic operators to go for the right equipment?
In fact, I'm happy you mentioned that, because what we've seen with that airline, we leave the name out of the interview, is that they've right sides from the onset, which is fantastic. But what is also positive for the industry is that everybody is making that move, almost everybody. Even one airline that only had a fleet of Boeing 737s has now acquired the E-Jet 145. So everybody realizes that, look, a reality check, we need to right size, and the industry is responding and reacting. So that's positive for them. But it will take a bit of a while. But it also means that it's a positive for those who are right sized from the onset. They are more prepared to take advantage of the opportunities that are there. And they will react better if there's a shock.
Okay. So are there ways government can assist the domestic operators? Because they've also been complaining about, huge taxes that is not helping them, to operate effectively. Some time ago, there was a waiver on aircraft spares. After some time, the operators complained that even when they bring these things in, the customs still require them to pay certain amount. Apart from that, we have this VAT issue and the others. Are there other areas government can really help them so that they will pick up and recover?
Yes, as part of our outlook, we shared some reports that on the investigation CAPA had done on how countries grow their aviation industry. And one of the clear things they emphasize from that report is that your policies and your taxes are the kind of things that encourage people. If the environment is not friendly and conducive, it's very difficult, especially an industry like aviation, where the impact it gives others is more than the impact it gives itself or receives on itself. So I'm one for that government should really look at aviation as a sector to really be encouraged. And it's not a sector where they should delay in anything that should assist it. I'll give you an example. If you build a road, basically, most roads in Nigeria, they are public goods, An airport runway, if you want to parallel it with the road, it's not the same. Because you land on the runway, you pay. But to drive on the road, nobody pays. So it's not, they shouldn't look at it as if they are subsidizing. They are enabling the economy. So they need to do more clearly. They need to do more.
But from my own understanding, government feels that because we have given them, a bailout, I think that should be okay. But do the airlines need a bailout? Don't you think they will want government to look the way of reduction in taxes instead of giving them handouts, which they feel is inadequate to even pay the staff?
You've just gotten it right. At the end of the day, bottom line of economics is benefits and costs. If you reduce your costs and then you can give more benefit. Sustainable assistance is what you are describing. It's not just to give a one-off bailout. And like we all said, it was like a drop in the ocean. Airlines worldwide already had financial troubles even before COVID. And those issues are exacerbated in Nigeria because you have those staying routes where the number of passengers per day is not that big. And there are so many issues. You can't utilize your aircraft the way you want to. So if government does the part of making critical infrastructure available as a first step, it already does more on the long term for them and really hits at their highest costs. But the problem is not